I'm flying out of Stansted Airport this morning, and I live in the Midlands, so I was driving east, cross-country, and I was probably, I think it's about 15, 20 miles from Stansted Airport. I was out in the countryside, 4:15 in the morning, and I saw this big, bright light in the sky, and what looked like an aircraft coming towards, sort of descending towards the road which I was driving. And as it got closer, it then banked to the left, what was to my right, and then as it banked to the left and went across the countryside, I could see underneath, and it wasn't an aeroplane, and it wasn't a helicopter, and it was much bigger than a helicopter, probably the size of an aircraft, but it was certainly of a kind of, I dread saying this, disc-shaped, because it had several lights flashing all around it, and underneath there were at least two large panel lights, soft white lights underneath, and then it just sat or just circled a certain area above the field for a few moments. I was so gobsmacked, I was trying to negotiate the road, which was a small country lane, and then eventually I dropped down and lost sight of it. But certainly for 2 or 3 minutes, I saw what I think was not a normal aircraft. And I'd love the person who was driving in front of me in what looked like a VW transporter, a silver transporter, to contact someone like the police or yourselves, because they would have seen it as well. And it was quite a weird moment, and I was wide awake, and you know me, Rachel, George, I'm of sound mind.
Were you a little bit freaked out by it?
I was, completely freaked out.
And the fact that you were driving towards Stansted Airport and this was an aircraft-type looking thing.
Yeah, but this was a long way from Stansted Airport. I mean, this was at least 15 miles, and this aircraft was going westerly rather than easterly towards Stansted, and it was not the shape of a normal aeroplane. It was a big kind of disc, sort of round-shaped craft, and it didn't move. Once it had gone over the field, it was kind of staying in the same area, because I watched it as I could. I watched it for 2 or 3 minutes before I eventually lost sight of it. And then when I decided to go back again through the village, and it's a very quiet area, and I've spoken to someone who knows the area well, and they say there's no military installations in that area. So I would be intrigued to hear if anybody else saw it. It was 4:15 this morning over the village of, I think it's pronounced Cottered, which is near Buntingford in Hertfordshire.
That happened at 4:30 this morning. What was it?
Gosh, that's absolutely fascinating. Clearly not a conventional aircraft of any type, Nikki. I'm most impressed. I wish I'd seen it myself. I would assume that a number of other people would have seen this object, and I hope they call Radio 5 Live if they have done so. You know, it might well be extraterrestrial. It might well be one of ours. I know for a fact that top-secret aircraft and spacecraft have been flown by the United States military and by the British military for quite some time now. As Ben Rich said, who developed the stealth aircraft back in 1993 in the presence of 2 friends of mine, we now have the technology to go to the stars. That was in 1993.
Where did they get that technology from?
Alien craft. Study of alien craft that have been recovered, and by liaising with actual aliens who have helped us develop this technology.